I'd like to introduce Marian. She is going to lead us through a session on running a quality club. And, you know, I think more than ever with hybrid and face-to-face and online meetings, we need to think about what makes a quality meeting. And this is a good time as any to review that and think about some ideas and share some ideas. So Marian is a member at Phoenix Tara Club and also a member of a pre-charter advanced club, Molly Mallone, well, it's online, isn't it? Yeah.
It is.
So Marian has got lots of experience in Toastmasters at a club level. She is immediate past division director for Division C in Ireland and has seen lots of good practice and maybe not such good practice that she's going to share with us tonight. So without further ado, I will hand the floor over to Marian. So please help me welcome Marian.
Thank you very much, Danny. Now I have to confess that I abandoned my slides yesterday and I changed, and I should have told you that before tonight. But I've decided, after looking at all the material that was there and looking at slides that were up, you know what? I think every one of us are such experienced Toastmasters that we are just going to have a good discussion and learn from one another. So I would like this to be an interactive session. And anyone who wants to raise their hand when we're asking questions, please do, because we're all Toastmasters. None of us are any better or any more advanced than the others. We can all learn from one another because we all have been at meetings that didn't make us feel great, and we've all been at meetings that had us buzzing. So I feel we all have just as much to contribute, and that's what I'd like you to do tonight. So yes, I have found that over the last 19 months, I have got so much experience going to different meetings. For all of our lockdown, we were privileged in our own homes. We could sit there, tune on any night of the week to a meeting. If you wanted to be divorced, of course, you'd do that. I nearly was. But I found I was looking at clubs that I would never have any way of going to or getting to physically, and being able to be there and take part in their meetings, and in the UK as well, and even around the world. But what that gave me was a great sense of how others view their meetings, how they conduct their meetings. And really, to be honest with you, we're all striving for that, you know, culture of excellence, trying to do the best we can. But what is the best we can? Is the best we can enough? I don't think so. I think as Toastmasters, we have to push ourselves out of that comfort zone and really look now at what we're delivering. Times have changed. We have hybrid meetings. We're talking about face-to-face again. But whether you're on Zoom or whether you're in the room, wherever you are, we need to think of our members, because the most important thing in Toastmasters is our members. Our members being supported, our members helped to reach their goals, our members really taken into consideration in whatever they have come to Toastmasters to achieve. And that's the responsibility of every one of us. Every one of us, whether you're a committee member or another ordinary member with no role, you still have to be there to support one another. And that's the whole ethos, isn't it, of Toastmasters. So let's have a look here. I'd like to find out what you think a quality club meeting is. And I would like to ask people to put your hands up, and then I'll come in with my piece at the end. So what do you think a quality club meeting is? Anybody like to answer that one? Don't be shy, please. Yes, Elizabeth, please come in.
Good evening, everyone. I'm happy to tell you what a quality meeting is like because I went to one last night at my club.
Very good.
First of all, the agenda was out nice and early. It was interesting. We had a mix of prepared speeches. We did moments of truth exercise. We had high quality evaluations. And when we did the assessment at the end, almost everyone said they learned something. And I can tell you, I'm still buzzing from that meeting, and that was last night. So to me, that embodied what a quality meeting is.
Brilliant, Elizabeth. That's exactly what I was hoping I'd hear. Anybody else? Martin.
Marian, I would simply say a quality club is where you have a mixture where you have the experienced DTM giving a speech at a very high level, and that's the level you expect. And you have the person doing the icebreaker who gets the very same recognition and respect as the person doing the high quality speech. And it's where you have the mixture of all of the people in between that, and everyone is treated with the same recognition and respect for their contribution on the night. That would be my thought.
Absolutely, Martin. Brilliant, brilliant answer. Anybody else? Eamon, please.
No, yes, and to add to Martin's, yes, to have a good balance where we have people that are, well, experienced and then people that are beginners, and if the agenda can have a good balance in between. But overall, really, people to have a good experience, whether in person or on whether online, that they go home happier or having learned something that will want to bring them back.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Eamon. Excellent. Excellent. So at this point, I just want to say what I would have learned over those months last year, apart from other times in Toastmasters. But I know when I logged on to some of those meetings, when I was sitting there at my fireside, there were times I thought when I came to the end and I'd say, holy God, I'm after wasting 2 hours of my life that I'll never get back on that. I have to be honest. Sometimes they left a lot to be desired. Now, you know, life happens and things get in the way and people have to pull out at the last minute, and we're all human. We have to understand that. But the difference in meetings that are well prepared, that are planned, that the thought has gone into. I remember another night coming off a meeting and saying, you know what, that was good. There was learning in there. I felt I was stretched on those topics. And while there could have been, maybe the organization could have been a little bit better, there certainly was learning, and it was still a good meeting. And then there were other meetings that I came off, and very like what Elizabeth is saying, I came off and I was buzzing after them. I was so excited. My head was, I couldn't sleep. I had to wind down before I went to bed. And they were meetings you could see that the planning had gone into. We were introduced straight away to and welcomed as guests. And we were made feel that we were part of that family that was there that night. So right from the beginning, you were drawn in. There were meetings that the sergeant at arms did all the Zoom etiquette, and we knew exactly whether cameras were to be on or off, or sound on or off. Our president, the president, welcomed everyone, gave his own little speech, and actually ended up giving a little motivational quote, which started the mood for the meeting. The Toastmaster for the night had a theme for the meeting. Now that theme was known by everybody way before the meeting started, because it went out on the agenda, which had gone out 4 days beforehand. The planning had taken place. Everybody's role was explained, especially for new members or new visitors that are there, and they're completely at sea as to what's going on. It's wonderful to explain the roles beforehand, that they know. And I know it takes a few minutes, but it's well worth it. And then we went into the speeches, and very like what Martin said, it was a mixture. It's like, to me, the whole meeting, it's like making a cake, making a rich Christmas cake. I was only thinking about it today. And you're thinking of what size will you make? What tin, will I do it round? Will I do it square? What do I have in the press? What do I need to buy? Do I buy really good fruit and just add a cake mix with it? Yes, why not? All blending together will smell beautiful and will cook just as well. The whole kitchen is full of that amazing aroma. And when you take it out, it's the satisfaction. And that's what I was thinking the meeting was, a good meeting. You have your speeches, you give everybody their chance, whether they're a new person in just doing their icebreaker, or whether you're an established Toastmaster. And I think that's very important in meetings, because sometimes we're inclined to forget our established members and put a lot more time into the new people. And that's great to do that, but we want to retain members, so we have to think of everybody. There was fun in the meeting. The whole topics were fun. Everybody was laughing. The topics were timed. And I think that is extremely important, because when we go out of our clubs and we go into competitions, our topics are going to be timed. So that's a huge learning thing as well. And it really adds to a meeting. And when we come to evaluations, and this is something that bugs me at times, people are inclined to fudge over. Everything was wonderful. Everything was amazing. And they're afraid to give the growth point. And guys, we learn from those growth points, every one of us, because like everything in life, we forget about what was good, but we'll always remember the thing that was picked up on. And that's the thing that will propel us forward and make us the better speaker. So when you're giving an evaluation, it is so important not to fudge on the person. Be fair. You know, you're certainly not going to demotivate anybody. You're going to encourage everybody, and you're going to say what you liked. But please remember, try and pick a growth point and always end for them then on the positive, to get them going, to keep them moving. We come to the general evaluator, and I have seen in other clubs, and it's thankfully it's not in our own now, but it was very much just kind of fudge over the whole meeting. But where's the value to a meeting in doing that? Because if you look at the meeting from start to finish in planning right down to the end, there's always things that committees can learn from. And the general evaluator's job on the night is to evaluate the evaluators and give them a growth point too, if needed, which they need to learn from. But it's also to give that insight into the overall meeting and to help the club to grow and progress. So looking at, did the agenda go out on time? Were the roles all filled? Was there fun? Was there enthusiasm? Was there excitement in the meeting? And complimenting people for that. And the other thing in the meeting is that we need to show up ourselves as members. We need to put our hands up for topics. We need to put our hands up for the roles for the next night. Sometimes it can be absolutely terrible on the EVP of Education trying to fill roles. It's not an easy job, and they're just another member. There might be a committee member, but they're another member like us. So really, we need to step up and take our part, and always ensure that there's fun in the meeting. We learn through fun. Something lighthearted, something that we can have a giggle about. There's enough seriousness in the world today. So even if it comes from the theme that's there, if it's a fun theme, and there's Halloween now, and I know there's themes for people to dress up, lose your inhibitions, put on a mask, do something. We're all wearing masks anyway half the time, although they're not visible. But that's what helps to make a good meeting. So your ideas and my ideas together work. But I think at the end of the day, we need to make sure that we're remembering our club mission, the club mission statement. It's very important. And if you, I'm going to read it for you now, but if you think of that and you look at when you're planning your meeting, are these things covered? So our club mission statement is to provide a supportive and positive learning environment in which members are empowered and encouraged to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. So did we support them? Did we support our new people? And it's hugely important when we are asking new people to step up to the mark and take on a role, that not only have they got a mentor that's going to help them with speeches, but that we have a mentor that's going to be there on hand to help them with the new roles. And that all benefits to a really successful meeting. Anybody, anything else to add to that?
Marianne, I would just say that one thing that we do, and I suppose it's common amongst clubs, is that with the newer members, we try to get them as quickly as possible doing the sort of our counter timekeeper role and that sort of thing. And what we try and do is send them an information sheet so that they don't just turn up and, you know, not know what to do and not know what the timings are. I think it all comes into what you were talking about, planning.
Yeah, But I think it's good, like we always try now, and I know most clubs are trying to have mentors there on hand for speeches, but I think the mentor role should incorporate people encouraging them to do roles, to do the smaller roles. And another thing to watch, and people don't mean to do this, but sometimes very experienced members will click in when somebody is asked to take one of the timers or the poet master or, you know, maybe the grammarian or something. And sometimes the really experienced members jump in for that. And I always try and say, try and hold back for the other roles that these new people might feel harder, might not be able to do. And your experience doing those other roles will be a huge benefit to them. So sometimes it's just a lack of thought. They don't think of doing that. So it's really providing the support in every way we can to new and existing members that makes the club meeting a good meeting. But I love a meeting to start off with excitement, where we feel enthusiastic. And that usually comes from our Toastmaster of the night or from our president. And it's the way the meeting is started that kind of forms the whole night. So when you start like that, you finish like that. That excitement comes right through the whole night. So that's my idea of a quality meeting. And I love the ideas that you shared.
You've got a couple of questions. Marian.
Okay, right.
Are you okay to take them?
I am, certainly.
Paul Greenway, you had your hand up.
Oh, thank you, Daniel. I didn't realize I was going to be first.
Hello, Paul.
Hi, Marian. I'm a relatively newcomer to Toastmasters. I joined 12 months ago.
Right.
And something that jumped out at me from what you were just identifying, I'm currently following the Persuasive Influence course, and I'm actually looking at mentorship as we speak.
Right.
But to pick up on the piece that Daniel was just referring to, I do believe that there is a coaching element for newcomers that would be very advantageous, of actually taking somebody who has done a number of the roles, for example, a counter or whatever it may be, and to actually take the person through it. My experience, I went looking for some of the material of how do I perform the role, but for it to, that required me to take an active role in my own interest in the club. As a newcomer, rather difficult, unless you're quite confident to do it, especially when somebody's coming to the club for the purpose of gaining that confidence.
Yes.
Whereas to have the club turn around and say, we have a Paul who has done this, who is more than, who's here to help somebody else understand what this task is, will meet you offline, non-meeting environment and take you through it. Just that coaching element, I think, would give a lot of comfort to somebody who's a newcomer to step into a new role.
Yeah, and I totally agree with you, Paul. I suppose where I'm coming from with that, I would see in my own club, Phoenix Tara, that our mentors are not only speech mentors, they're really, that they are actually activating that for people that are taking on roles. So you could call it a coach or a mentor, whichever way you like, but it's somebody that has done the role and has the experience and can make people feel comfortable with it, and who will be there on the night that if someone needs to send a message, a text, even a private chat, that they can help them, and that's the important thing, and that's what really gives new members encouragement and helps them to get there. So thank you very much, Paul. I do take that on board, and I do agree with you very much on that.
And there was somebody else with a hand up. I've lost them on my screen.
Shout out your name there.
No.
Can't
No.
see.
No. Anyway.
Oh,
okay.
I'll ask a question.
Okay, Des.
Yeah, I've been, like most people, I've been all over the world now for the last 18 months and picked up some fantastic ideas. I'm relaunching Battle Speakers. We've got a membership. We're down to a membership of 1, and guess who that is?
Oh God.
So yeah, I know it's terrible, isn't it? But I tell you what, give me 6 months, it'll be a different kettle of fish. But the one thing I want to ask is this: I've seen so many different ways of doing topics all over the world, and I've settled on one way of doing it, which I won't tell you because it's fantastic. And
Oh, don't be mean.
oh no, I keep it to myself for the time being, and then it'll seep around all the different clubs. But one thing, I've been around this game a long time now, and we never ever asked for volunteers. It was always the ethos of, if you're a club member, you're therefore a speaker. Therefore, you're an entertainer, therefore, you're in show business. And that's the way we looked at it. So don't ever say pass, or don't ever say I'm not ready, or I haven't got anything prepared. And this idea, I see it now in virtually all clubs. Do we have a volunteer for this topic? Whereas the huge fun was always in, I'm looking at Daniel. And that's in the live situation as well. I do it in the live situation. I'm looking at Martin. And then bang, you hit them with it.
Yeah.
And they're flummoxed, really. Yeah. There's a good Irish word. They're flummoxed. And that's part of the fun. But now I find this thing of, have we any volunteers? Or will you let me know in the interval if you want to do a topic?
Right. Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying.
Can't see the sense in it.
Yeah.
Well, I'd like to hear other people's opinions on it.
Yeah, no, I hear what you're saying, all right. And you know what? It is impromptu speaking, so we should be ready. When
Absolutely.
our name is called, we should be ready. That's all part of the learning. So when you think of what people come to Toastmasters for, some people come because they're stuck in the middle of a meeting someday when somebody throws a question and they're not able to answer it. They might be able to stand up and present, but impromptu speaking would not be their best thing. And that's where we learn. You're 100% right. So really, it's a very good point. We shouldn't be waiting to be asked. The topics master should be choosing who they're going to ask the questions. And now that you're after talking about us on topics, that's another thing that we can improve on in our meetings. And I've seen it now over that time in different in different meetings, different types of topics. So, for instance, I was at a meeting recently where they just threw out countries, and you could pick a country, whether you had visited or whether you had not got there, whether you wanted to get there or whether you know it was down on your bucket list. But if you knew something about that country, you spoke. And I thought it was another novel way to do the topics. Another night we had topics that somebody said, okay, subjects for the Leaving Cert, English or French, biology or chemistry. Why? And it was just so different. And it really made people think, and it was great impromptu speaking. So if we start thinking outside the box, we can do a huge amount to make those meetings quality meetings.
A lot of people would ask, what's the Leaving Cert?
Yeah, and I actually felt the same as because I didn't do mine till I was 40. So I was asked that in my youth, I would have said, well, I wouldn't know what subject to pick. But however, that's another story and was another speech.
No, I mean, there's a lot of English people around.
Yeah, well, A levels as well. So that's what we're talking about. Sorry, that's me being smart there too. Okay, so let's go on to our next topic, which is the impact of quality meetings on a club. Now, I'm not going to ask for volunteers. I'm just hoping to God to just put your hands up. Anyone like to tell me what the impact of quality meetings can have on a club? Brenda, please.
Engaged members, Marian, and the educational program being followed, and DCP points being earned, and probably President's Distinguished Status earned as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. Anybody else?
Also to make it fun as well.
Sorry, what have I got there?
In regards to if you're new and a member, or even your first impression is making it fun, and also teach them how what is actually how the evening's gonna run and how they portray it.
Yeah. Thank you, Michael. Thank you very much. That's very true. Anybody else? Mary, please.
I think that quality club meetings definitely have an impact on membership. It means that existing members remain with the club because they see the value in it and the enjoyment of the meetings. And also, I would say, particularly for new members, it leads them sometimes to encourage others, their friends maybe, to join up as well. So it can have a knock-on effect on membership once you've got those quality meetings.
Yeah, I totally agree, Mary, totally agree. Anybody else there?
I think Evelyn had a hand up,
Oh, sorry.
and then
Evelyn.
Judy.
Yeah, okay. Evelyn, please. Sorry, Evelyn, you're muted. Yeah.
Marian, I think that it's the confirmation of the usefulness of going to the meeting. That's about a worthwhile meeting. I learned a lot there that night. Was well worthwhile. I'm glad I didn't miss it. I could have stayed at home tonight, but I'm glad I didn't.
Very good, very good. So,
Judy, and there was
sorry, Judy.
Well.
Apologies, Judy. Sorry.
No, grand. I was just going to say, if a club has quality meetings, then the impact of that is that the club's reputation increases and its word spreads among other clubs.
Absolutely, Judy. Excellent. Yeah. Finbar.
Right, just unmute there. Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah, I would say that I think what an earlier speaker said there, the Mary, follow up on that any guests that come on the night, I think they tend to relax a bit. They might even come back. They feel happy about coming back, which would be a great thing. A big thing for me would be that people feel comfortable in the meeting. You know, that they feel welcoming and comfortable. You know, they feel that would be very big for me, you know. I'm not so sure about, to be honest, about reaching, okay, if they come, well and good, but I wouldn't put goals and things up there as the main thing. You know, I would put enjoyment maybe and, you know, relaxation and comfort. And we're all going out for a night out of relaxation, not punishment kind of thing. You know, that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Well, very true. I hope to God it's not punishment. I suppose I'm just such a passionate Toastmaster. For me, it's one of the best nights of entertainment that I can go to. And when you look at what we pay for a year, I know it varies from club to club, but look at the value we get for our money. We don't get that value in anything else. If we have 2 meetings in the month, we nearly have 24 meetings in the year for that. And that's pure entertainment value most of the time. But the one thing about impact, I think really, and it has been said, of quality meetings is that big bear bug that we have at the moment and retention of members. So like I said, when I talked about looking at going to those different clubs over the lockdown time and going to the one that I felt I'd lost 2 hours of my life. If they're the kind of meetings that we're putting on, we're not going to get members back. But when we give quality club meetings, when we make sure that we put the work in for those quality meetings, we will get the members. That's where members will stay. And the members, that long-term members, will keep coming back if the meetings are made more interesting, that they're not the same old thing every time. And that's something we have to be very careful of, and committees have to be careful of, is making sure that they are offering, it's like offering a product, that the product is going to be good, that your customers are going to go away satisfied. So people come for different reasons. Some people may come for a reason or a season. But I can tell you, if we are offering value for money with quality meetings, we will have people for many, many seasons. And we have seen that. But it doesn't happen without work. The work has to be put into it. But it can treble. If you have people that are satisfied, and like Judy said, they'll tell somebody else that they're happy. They'll tell a friend. Maybe they'll have a colleague in work who is finding it hard to give presentations. And they tell them, and that the word spreads. It's all word of mouth. And when you look at the value that we are giving in the cost of a year's subscription compared to people who want to learn presentation skills and how to stand up and deliver their presentations. We are giving fantastic value, and we have to get that across. So it's really about getting people to come enjoy the meeting. If they're enjoying it, that means everything is good. Everything, we don't have to worry. They'll be back. They'll be back another night. Maybe if not even the next night, they'll be back again. If their people are pushed out of their comfort zone and they realize that it's for their own benefit and they're learning, they'll be back. And Finbar said, was it torture? I hope to God it wouldn't be looked on as torture. I hope to God it will be looked on as just a learning experience for them. And that's where the support comes in. So assigning a mentor is a huge thing as well for retention, for keeping people, because your mentor will keep you accountable. And as they go along, making sure that your people that are taking part in the meetings and that are progressing through pathways, that they are recognized. My father had a great saying, people won't stay where they're tolerated, but they will stay where they're celebrated. And I think that's a huge lesson for us, to celebrate with the people, make it known your path is done. You've completed your first path. Well done. There's your first or your second role filled. Look how well you're doing. That little bit of encouragement can be amazing. The feedback, the evaluation feedbacks, we have Mairead Murphy in our Phoenix Tara Club, and she calls them her love letters. And she said for years, when she, after a meeting, she'd sit up and read them in bed, and she'd be so excited with what people would say. The encouragement that people get, that's how a good meeting can, you know, it can impact in the whole club, the whole club. So now we go on to delivering quality meetings. What do we really need to do? Now I know we're interacting and we're covering, we're going in and out of it, and we've done some of it. But so what does delivering quality meetings, what do quality meetings really look like? So I'm after being given out a few variations of what I think. So what are really good quality meetings? Anyone like to throw a few things in there? Okay, Anya. Thank you.
Sorry, struggled to get myself off mute there. And apologies, it looks like I'm not looking at you, but I actually have you on a monitor.
Fine, you're grand, you're grand, don't worry at all.
Yes, so I think the important thing is to do what you did today and start on time, and that communication with all of the members of the committee and all of the members of the club. If everybody knows where they stand and they know they can rely on the club, I think that supports the quality of delivery.
Brilliant. Excellent. Thank you very much, Anya. And I think, Sam, you had your hand up.
Yeah, hi there, everyone. I'm Marian.
Hi, Sam.
Yeah, I was just going to say, in terms of, organisation and our club, I've not been to any other clubs, to be honest, but our one is, when I first joined, probably 18 months ago, I realised how, every minute of every, it was very scheduled, very organised, everyone knew what they were doing. That's one thing I did notice as a new member. And I think keeping that structure, knowing what everyone's doing, having, so, you know how long you've got to do your speeches for, or when the breaks are and when it's finishing, it just keeps everything ticking over, and you don't get anyone sort of waffling in between or dragging things out. It's all, having a real structure, I suppose, to the meeting is a key point for me, I think, yeah.
Brilliant. And I think that is so important. I think it's so important to start on time and try and end on time, because people are working around a schedule. You don't know what else is there, or what other things they have to do, maybe even for the morning to prepare themselves. So it is important. Anybody else? Any other hands?
I would just like to say, Marianne, if I put myself in the position of a guest,
yes,
I'd want, it's good to have somebody greet you.
Exactly.
And it's maybe good to have somebody sit next to you
Mm-hmm.
who can maybe just explain it. I've been a member of Warwick Club, and they always have 2 greeters.
Yes.
Because of where they meet in a pub. So they have somebody by the main door that's welcoming people and give them a name badge. And then they send them down to the meeting room, and there's somebody at the meeting room who can explain what's going on there. So I think in terms of a quality meeting for a guest, it would just be being welcomed, you know, and having somebody specifically responsible for that.
Yeah. And it's hugely important, Danny. And I'd said that in the beginning of that really good meeting I was at, you know, that I can remember being at during COVID. We were all welcomed, and suddenly we didn't know the club at all, but we felt that we were part of the family. That's what I felt. It was like a family. We were all part of it. And it just gave you such a great feeling that you knew you were wanted there, and that whatever you were going to contribute was wanted. Now, when my own club, Phoenix Tara, when we had our face-to-face meetings, we always did that, where we had a person at the door. Usually our sergeant at arms would be taking notes of the visitors, welcoming them, taking their names and asking them if they'd feel comfortable in saying a few words. Now, there was no pressure, absolutely no pressure, but if people wanted to say why they actually came, they got that opportunity. And then they were sitting with an experienced member who sat beside them and went through the meeting with them, showed them the agenda, told them how everything went, how it rolled along. And that was very valuable. And the break was really important. And that's when we're doing face-to-face meetings, that part is really important. But it's equally as important on Zoom to make sure that you have captured every one of your visitors, and that they are welcomed the same way, the best we can on Zoom, and they're recognized for coming along. And then that it is sorted in whatever way. Each club has their own way of doing it. Sometimes they take people at the break and they ask them, they explain about the meeting and tell them they can come for so many times and if they would like to join. And they explain the whole thing to them. So people are not in the dark right from the beginning. They know they're welcome there. They know after so many meetings they'll be asked, are you going to join us? And it's really good. It's really a one-to-one, and that's usually done in the breaks now on the Zoom meetings, but it is very important.
Hi, Marian, can I come in there? We also, Martin's probably going to say the same thing. We also, during the meeting now, because we don't have that at the beginning in Phoenix Tara, somebody, normally the person in charge of membership, will message the new member during the meeting and ask them how they're getting on and invite them into a breakout room at the end of the meeting, and then have a conversation with them and like that, explain what's going on and ask them would they like to join, because that's one thing we learned over the year. If you don't ask, you don't get.
Brilliant.
And this year we've had a success rate of well over probably 70% of people who've come for one meeting, gone into the breakout room and joined as a result.
Yeah.
Of that chat.
And as Brenda said to me there, Nuala, and it's very true, sometimes we shy away from that, and we shouldn't. We should move towards it, because we should embrace that people have come. Sorry, Martin, yeah.
I just wanted to come in there to confirm to Danny that Marian doesn't just preach, she does what she preaches. In 2017, I went to Dunboyne Castle as a visitor to Phoenix Tara. As a very quiet little visitor, and I was put sitting beside a certain Marian Brennan, And 4 years later, I was president. So she practices what she preaches. I couldn't miss that opportunity.
Thank you, Martin. That fish wasn't getting away. So you see the importance of delivering. Oh, sorry, Philip. Yes, Philip. How you doing?
Marian, you were saying earlier on that there's some meetings are very good and some meetings are not very good. And I wonder whether that is because the meetings that aren't very good are being run by people who don't really know what their roles are or how to conduct their roles. And that could be, I wonder, because they haven't actually read what Toastmasters International have written about each role. And that's why you will find such a wide variety of performance from club to club. Now, a lot of what's being said here today is being very complimentary about good meetings and so forth. But you and I both know that quite a lot of the meetings, in fact, are quite disappointing, where you get, for example, I went to a meeting not that long ago where the Sergeant at Arms made a speech at the start of the meeting. And I thought, where does this come from? So when you have those kinds of discrepancies, then I always feel, I want to tell these people, why haven't you gone and read what your role is supposed to be?
Yeah.
And if each person knows what they're supposed to do and conducts their roles as prescribed, you have a much greater chance, haven't you, of having a well-structured, well-run meeting that people can go away from thinking, I really got a lot from that. Because the essence of a Toastmasters meeting, surely, is to provide a sense of satisfaction, that you enjoyed the meeting, either because you got the entertainment or because you learned something, or even both.
Yeah, no, totally hear what you're saying, Philip, and I agree with you. And I know, for instance, during my role last year, I was asked to help out at a contest. And I'm not going to, I tell you something, I nearly died of shock, because first I was told it didn't really matter about the eligibility form if it wasn't there on time. And secondly, it said, we're not having any tiebreaker judge. We're not going with that. We don't need that. And I had to really step into my role and say, look, you need a bit of coaching here. You need somebody to help you. That's not right. Have you read the rules of a contest? And this was in a contest, so how they had gone through. But you know what? I mentored that person, and they turned out to be a fantastic Toastmaster at the end of the year. And they came back and had asked me, Marian, can you help us with this? Can you help us with that? If you see something like that, don't feel you're interfering. You can ask in a nice way, do you need help? I don't think that's really the correct way. Can I help you there with that? Totally different than putting your big foot in and saying, hey, hold on here, that's not right. No, we're not, none of us as Toastmasters, that's not what we do. We're there to support and to help. So when we see that need, we shouldn't be afraid to step in and just give our opinion on it. That's what I feel. Now, there's one other thing I want to come back to, and it's a tip. And it's sort of ingrained in me as the life coach and the mindfulness teacher, and I always have to bring a bit of it in. There's lots of times we come to meetings and we're totally in our heads with what's gone on in the day. And we want to concentrate and we want to hear, but we're being dragged back to whatever went on in the office or whatever happened with the kids coming home from school, whatever it was that's upsetting us. So a little thing I do for myself, and I'm sharing it with you for what it's worth. Whatever is annoying me when I go into the room to turn on Toastmasters, I have this imaginary box and I take that out from my head and put it into my imaginary box. And I put the lid down on the box and I imagine myself bringing it outside and putting it outside my door. Because if I'm going to give 2 hours or an hour and a half to 2 of my time for a good quality meeting where it's going to be learning experience, what's going to be good, where I can support people, I want to be in the moment, not in my head. Now, after the meeting, you have a choice and you can go back and outside your door, you can pick out that worry and put it back into your head. That's your choice. But for the time of the meeting, leave it outside. Be there. We need to show up and be the best we can, be our best selves for the meeting, whether we have a role or not. Look enthusiastic. Have a smile on your face. Don't look bored and have your head down. Let people know you're enjoying what's going on, and that helps them too, especially on screen. It really does. So people will definitely, if they know that they're appreciated, they're not just tolerated, they're wanted, they're welcomed, there's a whole learning plan there for them, and they're getting it for a minimal amount of money, they will come back. You will retain your members. So, is there anything else that anyone would like to state? Well, I just state this first. The planning first. I had this written here, guys, now, and it's just here beside me, so I'll have to read. The planning is the most important thing first for your meeting. Find a theme for your meeting. It's always great to have a theme, and it makes a bit of fun. You're motivating a motivational quote if you can. Inspire people. Defining the roles well. Topics, think outside the box. How about evaluations like we're doing in the last while in Molly Mallone's, where we're looking at we're doing group evaluations. Sometimes we do it for some of the members if they feel that they would like a group evaluation, or we're doing group evaluation on the world speeches, the first, the second, the third. It's fantastic experience to look. They won. Why did they win? Would we have, if we were marking them as judges, would we have given it to them? And when you hear everybody's ideas coming out, it's absolutely great. And it's a great learning way. So that can be another new novel thing to do. The other thing I would definitely say is to share with your members the educational club, distinguished club chart. I think there are an awful lot of members who really don't understand that. And I know Martin Farrell and myself, we had a huge learning experience some years back when I was president and you were vice president, Martin. And we went along to a lady called Marie McNamee, and she brought us right through it. We looked at every member, what we needed, where they were on their journey, how maybe even one more speech would get them through and would get that club point that we need. And that is a huge learning point. And I feel it's not known enough. It's not shown enough. And it's not shown early enough in the year. I think it definitely should be shown before Christmas, where people can say, okay, after Christmas, we have so many months to June, and this is what we're going to need. Now, guys, we need every one of you to put your heart and soul into this. We want to get Distinguished Club again, or President's Distinguished, or whatever it is. But we need to push ourselves. But people that don't know about that, they might be sitting on a speech and not doing it. And that could be the one speech that would propel your club forward to get that next point that you badly need. So I would give a little education spot some night before Christmas, and I would show people exactly where we are, what we need, and what we aspire to get to. So we're all on a journey. It doesn't matter how long we're here. Any night we can go to a meeting, we're still learning. The first time we think we know it all, we may stop going, because every meeting can be a learning experience. Just embrace it. that's it, guys. There's a few minutes for questions if you have any. I tried to keep to the hour, so we have 3 minutes, I think, there. So is there any more questions that anyone would like to throw out there? I think there might be a few in the chat, is there?
Evelyn and Finbar.
Great, Evelyn, please.
Marian, thank you, Danny. Marian, I think that one of the most important things for a worthwhile meeting is to have variety, and too many clubs don't have sufficient variety. There are so many what I call occasional roles. You know, roles, you don't have to have them every night, but they certainly add a new bit of vibration to the meeting if you have them. And one of the ones that I favor is the warm-up, because it energizes the meeting from minute one. And as well as that, everybody gets a chance to speak in a very unthreatening way.
Brilliant. Excellent, Evelyn. Very, very good idea. Thank you for sharing that with us. Who was next there, Danny?
Finbar.
Finbar
had his hand up.
Okay, thanks, Danny.
No problem.
Marian, just a clarification really is all I just wanted to say. I'm in my 22nd year of Toastmasters, so you know, just clarify about torture and punishment. It certainly wasn't any of that along the way. No, it's a great organization. It's a wonderful organization, as you said yourself. We get tremendous value for money all through the years. That's all I wanted to say. Thank you, Marian.
Brilliant. Finbar, don't mind me. I heard the bit of punishment because I have tinnitus in my ear and I was getting it hard to hear. So maybe I took you up wrong there. And thank you for that clarification and for taking part. Thank you very much indeed. So anybody else? Can we see anyone?
Can't see it. Oh, Evelyn.
No, Evelyn, I think is.
Oh, still got your hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So I am going to put a few hints and tips together. The other thing, the final thing I would like to say to you too, when I was talking about that distinguished program, I was nearly forgetting this, and this is the one thing that was on my mind today. I feel that there would be huge benefit for every club to do moments of truth once a quarter. I think that none of us are beyond learning, as I've said, and we would learn so much if we put ourselves out there and ask the members, how are we doing? How could we improve? What do you like? What should we take out? It is absolutely crucial to the development of a club. And moments of truth, I find some clubs shy away from them, but I think they're one of the most important things. So imagine if you had 3 times in the year, even 3, never mind 4, where people would tell you how well you're doing or what you could improve on. That is tremendous learning, and it should be embraced. And I would recommend people to do that. And other than that, that's me. I will definitely get a hints and tips list for you. I will send it to Danny and we can send it out. And I just want to thank you most sincerely for coming along tonight and listening to this presentation. I have enjoyed listening to you and I have learned from every one of you. Thank you very much indeed. And I think now I'm handing over to Brenda.
Marian, thank you very much for a really interesting session. Your passion for Toastmasters came across, and the importance of planning, preparation, and bringing variety to meetings came across as well. Thank you very much for giving us your time. And I must say that the last hour was certainly not a waste of our time. And thank you very much, Marian. We really appreciate
You're
your-
very welcome. Thank you very much indeed, everybody. And Danny, back to yourself to close.
Well, yeah, I'd just like to add my congratulations. Thank you very much, Marianne. You've given us a lot to think about there. Don't forget, we have more training coming up next week. We have Basecamp Manager, followed by some sessions on marketing. So keep checking your emails. And thank you very much, everyone, for attending. And I will see you all, hopefully, next week. Take care.
Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thanks.